Well, it was difficult. It was difficult. It was a tremendous amount of work. But if I can give you a prima facie example, we have this idea in ancient Jewish wisdom that what a government should do is take care of civil issues, meaning communal issues that people cannot do individually. It has to build roads, it has to provide a police force, it has to prevent white-collar crime, create certain standards. If you buy medicine, they're not cheating you, and you're not going to die from taking the medicine. That's the job of government. Anything that's personal is your personal business, and it's not the business of government. It's a business of your own morality. It may be something you pick up with your religious affiliation, but it's not the government's business. Based on that, I made many different applications that are very, very, very relevant.
We have got Rabbi Ganz with us today. He joins us live here in our broadcast, coast to coast and boulder to boulder on TuneIn, iTunes, Radio Loyalty, The Mix on Tuesdays as well. And now, this book, like I mentioned, incredibly well written. You've put a lot of time and effort into the book. What kind of reactions have you been getting to the book so far, Rabbi?
You know, it's so a little bit off the track that I haven't had it much publicized. I did speak to one fellow that read it. I didn't know at the time, was a speechwriter for one of the vice presidents. He said, you have to get someone to make noise about it, and then there'll be a whole chorus of people attacking it. He said, once that happens, get it to be something these guys hate. They said, oh, you'll be in business. I take these positions that are unusual. This thing about that I mentioned before, for example, about the place of government. If the government isn't into your business, so it's not into your marriage, it's not into your drug use. I take the position they should legalize drugs. Someone wants to do drugs, it's their business. They can do alcohol, they can be obese, they can do, they can not work. It's their business. And if they want to take drugs, it's their business. It's half of all law enforcement. It enriches the mob, the criminals. Why fight a battle you can't win anyway? What difference is so this is a very controversial position.
Yes. Well, I'll tell you, actually, I agree a lot with that position, Rabbi, because the drug war has been proven to be just absolutely worthless, and we have made more millionaires out of these street thugs who sell drugs rather than actually go and getting a job. So I totally agree with you on that. We have got Rabbi D.B. Ganz with us today. He joins us live here in a broadcast. Uncommon Sense, Solutions to Modern Political and Social Challenges based on the ancient Jewish wisdom, the Talmud. And he joins us today here on the telephone. Give us the profile of the typical reader who's going to love your book, Rabbi.
Mr. Lowe, if I knew that... I would be in a different.
Yes.
I would be in a different position. When you do a good product, and I'm sure you feel that way yourself, you sometimes wonder, how can I bring it to the attention of people, forgetting about the profit. It's just a hard thing. There's an old and Talmudic expression. Everything depends on good fortune. Sometimes things just don't have the fortune to become noticed when they deserve to be, and things that don't deserve to be become noticed. It's one of the anomalies of the world. So that's all I could say. But I'm hoping that a thoughtful reader that's interested in the theoretical issues behind the news would read it. I take positions on immigration, on the military, on medical malpractice, taxation, how to grow the economy, how to produce wealth. I talk about it all. I hope people will be interested in it.
We've got a great guest with us today. He joins us live, Rabbi D.B. Ganz, and of course, he's also written a piece fairly recently about the Pittsburgh shootings. He says the Pittsburgh shootings highlight national challenges. Let's talk a little bit about that piece. Why did you decide to write that piece, my friend?
I don't know. It was somebody asked me to write a few paragraphs about it, and it was kind of an off-the-cuff thing. What I essentially wrote is that there's a problem of the trees, and then there's a problem of the forest. The problem of the trees is that any shooter can walk into a public place and shoot it up. Well, when the Pittsburgh, when that was going on, it was a Jewish synagogue, and it was this, and it was that. So in today's news, they're talking about a bar, not a synagogue. Well, if a bar isn't safe, a synagogue isn't safe, what is safe? And then what do you do about it? And, this is a short-term problem. What I consider to be the deeper problem is why these things are happening at all. I grew up in the 50s. Who ever heard of a mass shooting?
Well, and see, this was the thing. Those kind of things didn't happen back then, and I don't know if it was just because people just didn't have the balls to do it, or they didn't have the access to the weapons, or what it was.
No, they had access to weapons. As far as I recall, there were very few controls on guns. And when you went on a plane, you just walked onto the plane just like you walk into a CVS. Like a bottle of aspirin was open. You opened the top, and then at one time or other, somebody put poison in it, and I think it was a bottle of Tylenol or something. Now all these things have seals on them. It was unheard of that people should be so lonely to do stuff like that.
Well, and that's the thing, Rabbi, is there has been so many things over the years that have happened. Like you mentioned, you could just, back in the day, you could just walk onto a plane. It wasn't that big of a deal. People used to smoke on planes. There used to be all sorts of things that happened. And now, because a couple miscreants decided that they had to do different things, things happen. For instance, at McDonald's, they're any of the restaurants, when they hand you a hot cup of coffee, it's got a label on it that says, by the way, this is hot. Because some idiot somewhere got some coffee, spilled it on themselves, and went, oh my God, I've spilled hot coffee on myself. So
I just went into a hospital yesterday to visit a patient. Oh, all of a sudden there's a security system. They have to. You can't just walk in. You have to get a pass and walk through a gate. It was a whole process, and
you have to be buzzed in. I always loved that. I've went and visited people that I've known in the emergency room or in the hospital, and you have to be buzzed in. You have to sign in. There's all these things you've got to do. And it's because some miscreant somewhere along the way did something stupid. And so they have to put these things in place. I remember talking to someone at one point about the fact that the reason that there are warnings on things, or the reason why things happen, is because some idiot did something and they had to do that. So somewhere along the way, some moron somewhere went and visited someone in the hospital and did something nasty to them. They just didn't have common sense. It's just nobody has common sense anymore, Rabbi. I think that's really what this boils down to.
I tell you, I have a somewhat different view.
Okay.
Of this phenomenon.
Yes.
I feel that, if I may,
yes, go ahead.
ideal society is a little bit of, not a little bit, it's a bell curve.
Yes.
Meaning that most of the people are in a certain spot, and then with that spot as the starting point, there are going to be exceptions on either end of the spectrum. But where those exceptions go to depends on where the middle is. Like, for example, I don't know if you follow sports at all. It used to be in the 1950s, professional basketball players were real clunkers. They could hardly move, but they were NBA, National Basketball players. And there were no Michael Jordans. There were no LeBron James at those times. Now, it's gotten so good that elementary school players do more things than professional players did in the 50s. They're much better. So if everybody's much better, then you have these fabulous people on the bell curve that are just out of sight. They do things unheard of. I feel that the society is less moral. Now, the lack of morality in the society manifests itself in marital infidelity, it manifests itself in drug use, it's suicide, and a lot of dysfunction. In a society where the average, the average of the population is declined, those people on the edge of the bell curve are going to be more dangerous and more violent. I don't think it's just a few miscreants. I think that there's a real problem. There's a real fear that someone is having a bad day, so we'll go shoot up a bunch of people. And that's what,
that very well could be the case, Rabbi. There could be just all sorts of people that just, there's an old phrase that a lot of the rappers that we talk to here on the radio show, on the Sunday show every once in a while say, you just need to go to church. Just go to your church, go to your synagogue, go do something. Good Lord. Well, Rabbi, I appreciate you making time for us today. This has definitely been an interesting conversation. I really enjoyed talking to you about just all sorts of things. This has definitely been fun. The book, Uncommon Sense, Solutions to Modern Political and Social Challenges, based on the ancient Jewish wisdom, the Talmud. Rabbi D.B. Ganz with us today. And Rabbi, I appreciate you making time. Thanks for coming on. And I definitely want to have you back because you are just a great authority on different things. Just life in general. This has been fun, my friend.
It's been fun for me, too, and I really wish you much success.
Yes. Well, thank you much, my friend, and have yourself a blessed morning. I'll talk to you soon, man.
You too, sir.
Appreciate it. There goes the Rabbi, and we are going to take a time out. I get along with rabbis. This is like the second rabbi we've had on the Sunday show that I'm just like, I ought to just become Jewish. It's like the guy on Seinfeld said, if you become Jewish,